Yes, back again. Island EMORY on the 9. Waiting for our next guest. He'll be in momentarily. And we've got Jonathan Santos from Revive Monster Flat Fatty Collaboration. I mean, this gentleman, he is the entrepreneur here in Las Vegas, just getting things together. Kind of figure out how he's getting up and running when Las Vegas is slowly opening, and hopefully he can tell us what's going on in his life, his day to day. I've met Jonathan a few times. He's been doing these bags, backpacks, getting involved with the community, and also just getting involved. So I'm kind of reaching out to him now and see what's going on. So, we're just waiting on him. Hopefully you guys are having a blessed day. Hopefully you guys are enjoying some of the podcasts that I'm putting together. It's interesting, right? All these people that we have, everybody has a story, and they really want to kind of relay to, people what they're doing. And, trying to getting over this pandemic and getting back on their feet. Obviously, everybody needs cash to kind of support their families. And now, hearing that there's an uptick in the pandemic, and some things have been put on hold to literally stop from others opening up business, and it's putting a strain on family, finances. I'm one of them. Just trying to get through it, but in the meantime, before trying to get back to work and stuff, this is what I do. Kind of feeding the old mind, the knowledge, trying to gain knowledge from others, what they're doing in the world, and hopefully I can really mimic or even help them out and connecting the dots. From musicians, artists, from Hawaii to actually all over the world now, from art, from film to let me see here. Okay, he's joining now, so hopefully get him in momentarily. Yeah, Jonathan Santos. From music, art, entertainment, business, entrepreneurs, and hopefully soon to create these mentorship programs. And that's what we're looking at, to help kids. Because kids are missing out on school and doing things. Let's get this going. So on the 9 with Jonathan Santos. Hey, what's up, Jonathan? How you doing, brother? Are you on mute?
Yep, I can hear you now.
All right, cool, man. Hey, long time no see, man. How you been?
It's been a long time. Good. I was trying to think about how long it's been. Probably like 6 years or something.
Maybe 7 years, man. One of our mutual friends, he's kind of keeping me in the loop. He's like, "Yo, man, Jonathan, he's doing big things," and I was like, "Wow, I'm really excited to hear about this stuff."
Oh, man.
You've
thank you for thinking of me.
Yeah, no, you're an entrepreneur, and came on. I was telling the audience of what you've been into, with the Revive clothing line / the backpacks, and getting involved with the community. And I mean, now what I've been explained to is like you're just taking off, man, kind of using your mind.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, most definitely. I think it's all an evolution, as the times change. We live in different times than we used to, and obviously, as you get older, you think about a bigger picture. How can you serve more people, right?
Right. Is it true that you wanted to be a police officer when you police officer?
Way back in the day.
Exactly. Can I explain that? I mean, obviously things took a turn, but when I heard that, I was like, "What? You want to be a police officer?"
Yeah, so this was back when I was in high school, and my whole goal was like, how can I serve my community, right? I always wanted to be a service to our community, and I was like, well, police officers, growing up, to give you a backstory about how I grew up, we grew up in like some pretty, ghetto areas of Las Vegas. And as a kid, I would see, drive-bys, dog fights. I'd see all this chaos as a kid growing up as a 5-year-old here in Vegas, all the way till I was 9. And I always saw the cops came by and they'd give us stickers. So as a kid, as a little Mexican kid running around the hood, I'd always get these stickers from these cops, and I was like, wow, these guys are cool. Like they help solve some crimes that happen. People, that get robbed or whatnot, they find the suspect, right? So here I was as a kid. I think that was ingrained in me. The only way that I could serve my community is by either joining a military or becoming a police officer. And when I was in high school, I ended up pursuing the police officer route by joining the police cadet program.
Wow.
And through that, I was exposed to what the police department was, and I was like, wow, I mean, there's some good cops, there's some bad cops, there's good people and bad people, and at the end of the day, I don't know if you'd be able to make such a difference by serving, in that capacity. So that's where I decided to launch a business, because I figured if I can make an impact with a business, through a charitable arm, or the way that we do business, that will be how we really start to empower other people out of the inner city to, give them power and start their own business, their own brands, and do something positive in the world. So I've always wanted to, I think I've always kept that focus of how can I serve my community. And it started by, okay, I want to be a police officer, serve my community that way, to leaving that and starting Revive when I was, 19 years old,
Right.
and seeing the evolution of that. And now as we transition to the whole new digital social media age, it's a whole new, it takes on a whole new form.
Yeah. And now, what school did you go to, if you don't mind me asking?
I actually, I had enrolled to VOTEC. So I went to VOTEC High School, which is SECTA now, Southeast Career Technical Academy.
Uh-huh.
So I went there for automotive because I wanted to be a mechanic. I was inspired by Fast and the Furious.
I saw some videos, and you kind of got inspired, and you took up the hobby of racing, right?
Yep. My brother was like fully into it. I was building like my Honda, as a teenager, and on the east side with a Honda, the Acura Integra, and there I was working on cars and hanging out with my friends at the speedway and just doing all kinds of stuff teenagers did back then. So it definitely wasn't. I didn't always have the focus that I had. Like you gotta lose yourself to come back around, right?
Well, the thing is that you can see that you're the need for speed, right? And I saw one of your videos, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know that he was interested in that. And literally, when I thought to myself, oh, he's drifting, Fast and the Furious, so put it together now.
Yeah. I was, Paul Walker was the police officer, became an FBI agent. That's the path I wanted to follow.
Okay. Hey, maybe film is in your blood, man. Now,
right.
I mean, how'd you get to this point of being an entrepreneur? Obviously you graduated from Voltech. Did you end up going to UNLV, or aspirations of going to college and kind of continuing your education?
Yeah, so I ended up after Votech, I joined the police department, worked for LVMPD. While I was working for there, that's when I started going to college, because they would give me my hours to go to school, and I would go to like night school. And I ended up almost graduating with my associates in business. I have like one math class or a science class to do, and I just didn't feel like going back. I was like, it's okay. I don't think an associate's degree is going to do anything for me, when I'm trying to compete against graduates and MBAs, right? So, but it was, I mean, in terms of, to answer your question, how I got into entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
I think it was really a culmination of our upbringing, like I said, like I mentioned, when we grew up very poor, and we were living in Las Vegas, but I didn't really know what poor was until I traveled to Mexico, and I went down with my grandparents and my cousins out there, and at the time they were living on dirt floors with a little like house made out of brick and like little haystacks out the end, like really rural Mexico. And that's when I was like, yo, we have so much in America. Like, I have a TV, and I have a radio. These guys don't even know what that is yet. This is the 90s. So here I was. I had that contrasting world, right? Of like, oh, this is what's happening in Mexico and where my parents grew. And then that's when it really resonated with me. The thing that my dad would always tell me. He was a construction worker. So as I was growing up, he'd always make me take off his shoes, and his shoes were dirty with mud, grit, sand, because he's been like in the underground, you know. And he'd always tell me as I took off his shoes, he'd always say, "I make you take off my shoes so you could see what it's like to work out in the heat and just work out in this middle of nowhere desert. So I want you to go to school or do something with yourself, you
Mhm.
know." And then that's what I want you to do. I do this for you, you know. So I think that really stuck with me, and always going back, I've always been very inventive. I always wanted to create little product ideas or businesses when I was growing up younger. Um, but throughout my teenage years, I kind of lost track of that. I didn't really think much of it, and it didn't really come back to me until I was in the middle of the heat of one of the cop cars. It was 110 degrees outside, and we're wearing body armor, the vest, right? I'm
Right,
wearing the
right.
full uniform, and I'm sweating. And this mind comes in my head. My dad saying, "I do this so you won't have to be out in the heat sweating your ass, you know, sweating,
Right,
sweating your balls off." And then I was like, "That's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm not doing what my dad, you know, came to this city for."
right.
So I was like, you know what? I'm starting school. And at that day, I started school, and I never looked back. And I started our business a little bit after that.
Now, getting with the start of entrepreneurship, in the when I last saw you, you were like kind of venturing into backpacks and these colorful designs. Are you still following through with that, or
Yeah, so I think last time we spoke, yeah, it was about 7 years
7 years
ago,
ago? 7
and
years ago,
yeah, it was, and we had all these like crazy, colorful lines, and the
right?
idea for that bag back then was a customizable bag. You can interchange pieces and customize a bag completely like from scratch. And that idea didn't end up working out because we never factored a key component that would mess up. So that's something that you learn as you're developing products is your idea might be like amazing, but once you actually start building it with manufacturers, you still might get a really good product, but once you mass produce, that's when like any little variable might completely mess up the production, which is what happened to us. So when we met with you, we had we had a line of colorful bags, but that wasn't our number one goal. We didn't set out to say, let's start a line of colorful bags. Like our goal was to make them customizable. So we
Right.
wanted to give multiple color options for people to change panels, like make a red, white, and blue bag, or make a red and green bag, or whatever they wanted to, so they could design on it and customize it.
Oh, wow, wow.
But yeah, so that didn't work out in the production stage of things. So we had to scrap the customizable idea and just slap together solid colors and go and market that. You know, and that's definitely a hard lesson learned, that when you start a
Right.
business thinking that you're gonna go a certain way and you try to make adjustments, you're gonna have to make adjustments to the entire business. And it took a few years to really learn that, right? And like figure out manufacturing from the ground up, you know, like how we source for patterns, how we source for materials, and the whole design aspect essentially took us through a journey of like really navigating the apparel manufacturing world without having any experience, knowledge, or connections when we started. And we just learned and grew from there.
Now, when you say grow from there, I was just looking at you were on a TV show, and it was hosted by Steve Harvey. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, that was
I
crazy.
mean,
That was,
how'd you get to that point? I mean, did you have to
yeah.
like a contest enroll, or you had to pitch, or you're a very
Yeah.
responsible guy, and you can speak, and so I want to hear this story though.
Oh, for sure, for sure. No, most definitely. You're only hearing this here. I've never really talked to people about this, so you're definitely everybody's getting exclusive insight by listening to the little grass shag radio. And
Thanks.
so essentially, so over the years, we were developing patterns, ideas, products. We went to like more denim lines. After we met you, we had a distribution deal that a distributor approached us with. At the time, they were distributing Wiz Khalifa's line, um, Big, Invisible Bully's line. They had a bunch of like brands and products that were established, and they came up to us because they were missing a bag company that they could coincide with a lot of the, as a distributor, for people that don't know how that works,
Mhm.
is if you have an apparel brand or a product, you want to get it into retail stores. Oftentimes you work either with a distributor or you sell directly to the retail store. But when it comes to getting your product into, like, say, Tilly's or one of these Champs or Foot Locker or whatever it might be, they don't really work with independent sellers. A lot of times they work with distributors, and distributors carry a variety of products that they can go to them and say, hey, what do you want for this season? We're designing this collection around Wiz Khalifa. So you could put the Wiz Khalifa hat, you could put a Monster headphones, you could buy a Revive backpack, and now you just sorted the entire collection for your store with one buyer, and they have all of the compliance and tracking system set up. So companies and retail stores like to do business with distributors because they know the business and they know that they can deliver the products on time. So for us as a brand, we realized, wow, this is our foot in the door. We're about to get into a distributor. Like this is what people work big time for, you know, like this is a big deal. So we were 25 years old at the time, and here I was. They said, hey, we need to make a collection around Wiz Khalifa's line that we're designing. We're also collaborating with Monster Headphones, which was the Monster Products brand, who were the ones that designed the Beat headphones before. Right. And we were going to do a huge collaboration with Monster, Wiz Khalifa, and our brand. And we needed to design a collection around that. So they said, hey, are you guys able to do something with that? We were like, most definitely. Like thanks for the shot. We're going to make it work. So they gave us all of their color schemes, PSD, you know, all of the color codes that we needed to match. And we went to town, and we brought together our resources we had built over the years to develop a line of products for that collection. And we spent all of summer, the entire 3 months that year, to design a collection of 15 different products, from sourcing it all the way to the design and manufacturing of it, with options in the US and options in Mexico and some options in Asia. So we had 3 different manufacturers that we were working with that summer that were ready to hit at different price points. So if we only got kind of lukewarm sales, and we might say, hey, let's manufacture it in the US, not take such a big hit. Like, it doesn't make sense to manufacture 10,000 products if we only sold 2,000 or 3,000, right? So we had our options covered for low batch, medium, and high batch production through the apparel. Through the backpack industry. So here we were, 2015. We went to the show. We got to meet Sway. We got to meet 3-6 Mafia. They were there as well. We got to meet Snow the Product. We met all of these like up and old school like people that we listened to, with some of the up and coming artists and rappers. Some NBA players came out there. It was a really good showing. We had sales that ended up locking in Korea. South Korea was huge for us. Japan, as well as New York and all the coastal. They really liked the designs that we came up with at the time. And so we were high on the cloud. We were like, we did it. We're a global brand now. But at this time, we're like, we're a global company. We're gonna start mass producing these things. And as you know, the Magic Apparel Convention is where all these deals go down. So it happened right in Vegas. So we didn't have to pay for travel or anything, because it happened right in our backyard. But we did have to pay for all the sampling, all the travel that we did to meet with manufacturers at the time. And we were in about 12,000 just to get that sample done, right? And then we were like, okay, if we could just make this into 100,000, it's all worth it, right? Right. At the time. And here we were. We were done with the trade show, and we're waiting a few weeks. We're emailing the guy. We're like, hey, what's going on? What's the status of the orders? When can we start production? And it was kind of like, oh wait, we're handling those details. I'll let you guys know in a few weeks. A few days turned into a few weeks to a month. It was around holiday season when I realized this probably isn't happening. Something happened here, right? Right. So I finally get the call from the guy, and he says, hey, I'm sorry, the whole entire deal fell through. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, our backers for the distribution company pulled their funding out. Something happened with the relationship between the guy that established the distribution company and the investors. And the whole entire deal fell through. No products were sold. Everybody was returned their cash that they had on reserve for ordering the products. And as a brand, as a new company that we just invested another $12,000. Granted, we already had a couple thousand in the hole from lost production before. It was a very big blow for us, especially for 25-year-olds that barely had a job, and right. and here it was, and it was just like, yo, we just lost out all this money, all this time, right? And it was a moment of what are we going to do? Are we going to call it here, or are we going to launch something else? So at that time of designing that, we had designed a bag, this bag that you see right here,
Right.
which is a basketball bag.
Oh, yeah.
And yep. So we had designed a collection that went around shoes. So you could color coordinate with different shoes, sneakers, designs, and we have a couple other printed ones up there. But essentially, you color coordinate, and we created a way for designing these bags in a way that you could print mass colors, logos, teams, all of that stuff. And we were designing that around the same time that we were designing the collection that we did for the distribution company, but we didn't show it to them because we were like, let's just keep this for us just to see how this relationship goes. And luckily we did that. So here we are now. We're essentially like, okay, what are we going to do with this? We don't have any money. We have, like we owe a lot of people.
Right.
And we need to pay them back. And we still need to try to launch this product because I think it could be a big hit in the market. So what we did that next year is we took it to Kickstarter, and we were like, you know what, let's try this Kickstarter thing. Everybody's talking about at the time. It was a way for you to start your project with no money. They would essentially, what you had to do is build a campaign, and from the campaign, people would fund the idea. And say you had a goal of 15, so our goal was 15,000. If we can hit 15,000, we can produce these to actually get them out in the market, and then we could make some more for us to sell online. And that was kind of like our target was 15,000. And if we get but the catch for Kickstarter is if you ask for too much, if you ask for like 50,000 or 100,000 and you don't get it, but say you got 29,000 or 40,000,
right.
But if you ask for 50,000, if you don't hit that $50,000 goal, you get nothing. So we had to kind of look back and say, okay, should we hit a goal of 50,000? And then go to 40 and then not get anything, or should we at least go 15,000? Let's start a production that we could at least bring out to the market and see what happens from there. So that's the approach we took, and we launched that Kickstarter campaign, and we got funding for it within like 45 days. We did a 60-day campaign, and we got the funding within 40 days or so. And we were like, yes, we got the money. We can go actually produce these. We were already working with the manufacturer that we had worked with the bags before. And we essentially sent them out to the customers that bought it. And around that time, so this is like a big story to answer your question about how did we get on Steve Harvey, right? So like people need a backstory. Sometimes it just happens. It's meant to be. Sometimes you got to put a little work and you stumble and you fall into something else, right? So we do that Kickstarter campaign and we get the funding. And then I get a call around that time that we're getting the funding. I get 2 calls. The first call is from some management, some production company in LA that represents Gary Vee. I don't know if you know who Gary Vee is or not.
Vaynerchuk, right?
Vaynerchuk, yep. Gary Vaynerchuk, yep. Yeah. So for entrepreneurs and people, they know who he is. So he's like a media guy. They were starting a new TV show, and he was essentially scouting for entrepreneurs that had product ideas, and you'd pitch it to him. It was a whole new concept. Then he would take on his role would be to market that product through social media, market by all his connections and media company to actually make that product a success. So we got a call from Gary Vaynerchuk's team about producing a show, and we go through the ringer. And I never really understood how TV worked. So this was the very first time we were like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. We're about to be on TV with Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, that means I might get shown on his Instagram or Snapchat, it's kind of cool. Right. So here I was, and it took about, for people that don't really know how the casting process of something goes, it's essentially a Zoom call, follow-up call, and another follow-up call and Zoom call, and hey, send me all these details. All in all, it was about a 30-hour process that I think I spent like going through the ringer of the process of moving up in the selection process. Right. And then when it was all said and done, they said, hey, we're down to 2 people, so just you and one other guy. Since this is a pilot show, we're only going to move forward with 1 person, so we'll find out who it's going to be, whether it's you or the other person. And they ended up going with the other person. Wow. And I was so bummed out. I was like, I just spent 30 hours of my life working on this, and it didn't work. So I was like, man, forget this TV stuff or meeting Gary Vaynerchuk. And here I was like, you know what? Let me just focus on this, making sure that we get our products to the customers and start building up this business. And then I get another call, and this time they say, hey, we're the casting agents for MGM. And I was like, MGM? They're like, yeah, we're casting for Steve Harvey's new episode. Actually, I get an email and it's a pitch, and they're saying we're starting a new TV show with Steve Harvey, Mark Burnett. Would you be interested? And I replied, and she left her number. She's like, you can call me or you can email me. We can set a time to talk. So I just give her a call. And I was like, I forgot her name was like Stacy or something. I was like, hey, Stacy, how's it going? This is John. She's like, oh, hey, John, I saw you on Kickstarter. I was going through the products of like new campaigns that were just funded. And I saw you had a product that was very interesting and we'd like to put through our show, a new contestant show. And she's like, would you be interested? And granted, this was right after I got out of the last casting process. I wasted 30 hours of my life, right? So I should have said, look, Stacy, I really appreciate this opportunity, but I need to know, am I going to be wasting my time by going through this process not to get selected? Or is this something that's actually going to go to air? Or like, I need to know what the position is. I don't mean to feel entitled or anything, but it's just like, if you're just casting people to do your job, like it's not fair to the people that are being casted, you know?
Exactly.
Yep. So she said, no, I think this is a perfect fit for what we're doing. Please just go through it. I'm going to put you in touch with our producers. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So that one went really well. And of course, it was another 30 or 40 hours, but they loved us. They loved the direction. The pitches that we're doing was exactly what they were looking for. And the best part about it is they were casting about 20 different companies in order to put together a season that would have about, I want to say 10. So they went from 20 companies to 10 that actually went on air. And that whole process was just, it was such a life-changing moment, not because the monetary thing, you know, we won $20,000, which was good money. That's not life-changing. You know, you can make that working a part-time job or whatnot, right? Not a life-changing amount. But what I mean about the life-changing moment is all of the detail that you saw behind the scenes that goes into putting an entire movie, like entire show production. It was I think their budget was like $3 million for one season, or just for the pilot for the first 5 that they were going to show to get the rest of the funding to go to air. So it was a life-changing moment in the fact that you got to see, you got to get coached by people who were in the industry, like, hey, how do we elevate how you talk? How do we elevate how you interact with Steve Harvey? How you're going to interact with the crowd? Like to us, we'd done presentations in school. We had done phone calls, like talking with people, and it was like, okay, that's like I always felt like we were pretty good, but after that moment, it was like they literally took us through an entire like movie acting career in like in the span of a few weeks, right? It was like, this is how you should talk, and this is how you should carry yourself, and this is how you should accent what you have to say, right? And that was a life-changing moment in regards to being on stage, knowing that millions of people were going to watch it and not fumbling the ball. You know, like, because I could only imagine myself being on stage in front of Steve Harvey and stuttering. You know, like I didn't want that to happen. So it was a life-changing moment in knowing that you can go up to the big stage and have a conversation with somebody on the air in front of millions of people and win that competition. You know, like that was like a bonus. But to us, the fact that we went in there and it was like a dream. It was like it was perfectly done, like no hiccups. I was just like, oh, this has to be a dream. It didn't feel real when we won, you know.
But all the obstacles, you know, from priors and stuff like that, you're like, is this really happening to me? And I see it, man. I can see it. And for all the work that you put in, and like you said, you wasted 30 hours of your time yet to kind of achieve, go through the pains of a business and learning it and then growing it and then hit that finish line. Like, holy shit, we just made it. You know, that's awesome.
Made it. Exactly. It was literally like one of the highlights of aside from my daughter, because I just had a daughter born.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you. Like, that's how I think parenting, because I actually got to deliver my baby too, because I wanted to deliver her. Yeah, so the doctor was really cool, let me deliver her. And that moment was like a life-changing moment that I knew was going to change my life, and just being present with her, holding her. I want to say that Steve Harvey moment was kind of similar. Like, so as a parent, if you have those feelings, like, yo, my life has just changed, you know, like the life-changing moment regardless, right? Yeah. So for us being on that show and just seeing Steve Harvey and getting to interact with the audience, it was 500, it's a 500 member live audience. And they said, yeah, it's going to be going internationally. And we got seen all over the world by people. And it was just such a life-changing moment. And knowing that you could put an idea out, you could put yourself out and actually present yourself in a way where people like you, where people want to vote for you, where people want to,
Right.
like see you succeed. And it just goes to show, like, hey, I think whatever you put your mind to, I think it's possible to do, like, as I think the only limit you have is whatever limit or capacity is in your head, like once you overcome that, I think anything's really possible.
Right. And that's what they say is like, you really need to kind of just be confident and take the leap of faith and literally, believe in yourself and just go through like the, all the pains and obstacles. But now, for you today, you're, are you still in the apparel business, or I heard that you're kind of taking, a different venture, and that's one thing about, I really appreciate people like you, taking that entrepreneurship the next level. And, I heard through the grapevine that you're doing things and, you're becoming an educator and even a mentor. You want to share a little bit about that?
Sure, most definitely. So when it came to the Steve Harvey, like I said, the money was amazing to be able to pay off the bills that we had from the failed distribution, right? We were like, oh, we paid those people off. We got some sales in for the products. We were managed to pay most of all of our debts all the debts that we had going into the business. So it was a moment where we were like, this is really cool. Like, for the first time, we could be profitable. But then reality sets into life, right? In regards to the highs of seeing that big exposure, obviously you get those nice increase in sales. You get to pay off your debts that you have. But when it comes to the remarketing, retargeting, and finding the audience, like, at first you're going to get all these people, but then you only get a small segment of people that actually become loyal customers. And the goal is, in whatever product you're putting out, it has to be big enough to capture that small segment. So for us, obviously, a basketball bag was a really good product, but we were competing with the Nikes and Adidas and the Under Armours, all who had products that were like really popular in the game. Like, people aren't going to trade their Nike bag for a Revive bag, for instance. Like, it'll be a really tough climb, and it's going to require a lot of capital. And at that time, I was just couple of events happened. One was I got married. I was married to my wife, so we engaged and finally got married. And the second one was that, which my wife you met. She was actually on the show with you.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah. Is it the same one? Yeah. Yeah. So
I apologize.
No worries. I already know how it is, man. I did that one time. I messed up. I'll never do it again.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. So you met my wife. She was with us from the beginning of the business, from the ideation to the marketing side of it. And we're just like, hey, you know what? It's time for us to move forward in the next journey of life. She graduated college with her marketing degree at UNLV. And I was an entrepreneur who had barely made it with, a couple product launches and stuff. Right. So we got married. That was a life event that really changed the perspective of, like, how are we going to move forward with a business? And then the second thing was it's definitely more of a tragic event. My business partner's brother ended up committing suicide. And that really took a blow to all of us. Like, we were just, hey, how do we get over this hurdle? It's his brother, it's his little brother. Right. So I'm not going to push anybody to do something that they're not in the right state of mind to do. And in regards to us driving the product, like, he was the guy that was driving the product, and he was the person that was the face of it. Like, he was the one building the relationships. We were working on the logistics and the designs and stuff. So with those two events happening at once, we had to kind of figure out, hey, is this something that we can continue to do over the next 5-10 years, or should we maybe take a look in a different direction and see what we can do with everything that we've built over the last few years? And that's the thing about entrepreneurship, is that even though you're going for a goal, you always have to not necessarily hedge your bets, but you just have to do as much as you can with what you got, right? So, like, if you have a company right now and you have a camera, like, hey, why don't I just share what I wish I knew before I started my business? And that's what I shared on YouTube back in around the time of the failed distribution deal. I was sitting at home and I was like, man, what am I going to do? I had actually quit my job, so I didn't even have a job. I was unemployed after that. Wow. So here I was sitting at home and I was just like, you know, like I wish there was something I could do. And my wife actually told me like, hey, you should make a video about how people can start easily. Like, isn't that a problem that you always had when you're looking into anything?
Right.
You see all these blog posts and people make it super complicated. She's
Yes.
like, why don't you just make a video on how you can start a clothing line like super easily? And I was like, that's a really good idea. Like, I think I could do it. So my background was also in the SBA. So I used to work for the SBA, helping small businesses get started. We
Mhm.
worked with a lot of clothing brands while I was building my own apparel brand with the backpack industry, manufacturing, all that stuff. So I got to see the licensing side. That was kind of like a barrier to people. Like, how do I get a license? How do I get all of these little
Right.
details that are required? And I made it super easy where anybody could do it. And I was like, okay, this is what I wish I knew before I spent 2 months researching this, right?
Exactly. No, no.
Um, and I did a video and it took off. It blew up on YouTube and it ended up getting like 1 million views and within the first year or two, a year and a half or
Wow.
so. And it was the only video I had on YouTube was that video. And then my wife kept telling me, you should make more videos, and I was like, no, I don't feel like making videos for YouTube. Like that's not what I see myself doing. Um,
But you
Never
did.
would have
But you
guessed
did,
it.
right? You created your
I
own.
did. Yep.
Yeah.
So a little bit after we started the Kickstarter campaign, I started doing a couple videos, shooting like once a month. The first year, I only did like one video. The second year of YouTube, I did like maybe 10. The third year, I did like 40. And then the fourth year, I did like another 50 or so. And then I think we're in year 5 this year, and we're up to like, I think like 20 videos or so. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, we have like 170 videos on the channel covering different topics. And
right.
I did that just filming from a camera, just talking what I wish I knew and pointing people to the right direction. And never did I ever think that you could actually make money on YouTube or build a brand or a business around it. But the need was there. Like there was people looking stuff up. How can I do this? And
Right.
nobody was talking about it. So I became the person that people turned to when they went on YouTube. Hey, how do I get clothing labels? How do I manufacture this product? Like, what is Kickstarter? Like, so I started just providing all of this just for free. And I was just like, well, I'm doing it on my own time. So I'm going to get around to it when I can, until I started learning about affiliate marketing and how, Shopify is a platform that we use for our business. And I was promoting them for a long time. And I never knew about affiliate marketing until Shopify's affiliate manager contacted me and they said, hey, we're seeing a lot of traffic coming from your channel. Do you know we have an affiliate program? And I was like, what's an affiliate program? And they're like, you get paid for referrals. And I said, what? I've been doing this for free for the last 2 years, lady. I wish you would have told me this sooner. and But in all honesty, I think it was good that I did it that way, because it wasn't a monetary gain for me. It was a genuine giving of, hey, this is what I wish I had available, and here's the tools that you can use. And I think if you always come from that perspective, then
Right.
people will know, and they'll respect it, and the people that want to support will purchase through your link. So I've kind of kept that same format. I try to remind myself of that every time I make a new video. It's like, hey, this isn't about selling this program. Like, is it something you would use? Because I get contacted by sponsors all the time. Like, hey, we have this video editor or this ad agency. Like, would you like to promote it? We'll pay you. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't use you, and I wouldn't use that. So no, I won't work with either of you guys. So it becomes like I only refer what I would genuinely use and what I think would genuinely benefit our community. So that's kind of how it all started on the YouTube platform.
Yeah, well, and I think I think I saw one of your episodes, and I think it was on your Facebook or whatever, that you were touring the is it the garment district down in LA, and
Yep.
you're
Hmm.
writing on
Yep.
something or you materials, and I did not know it was so extensive what you were doing, and I was like, wow, because some people just make a phone call, I need this, hey, can you do that, have it out, but the way you portray an entrepreneur and literally getting down and dirty and going straight for the product and from the build up. I mean, that is awesome,
Hmm.
bro.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you so
And
much. We work
no, no,
hard.
no, no. And being creating your YouTube channel and being an inspiration for a lot of entrepreneurs to kind of look at and like because even in today, I'm still looking at learning things and doing these podcasts. I'm just kind of revisiting all the people that what are they doing now in their life, and our mutual friend Johnny Magic. I always call him Magic because he always makes things happen. Yeah, he's always he's taught very highly, and yeah, man, he's doing the educational things. He's going to be, he can literally, he'd be an inspirational speaker. Are you, no, I'm serious, man. Are you doing any engagements like that, or because go ahead.
Yeah, we had done we had done one speaking event last year, but that's definitely not something that we do often. Like I don't market that, but yeah, we have done a few, and it's I have a great time connecting with people in real life. I think that's really the reason I wanted to do the last one, is I wanted to meet the audience that in those cities, right? And now I'm getting more requests of people like, hey, are you ever going to come to to Tampa or to Chicago, or like I wanna meet with you. I want to work on a project, or at least get to talk to you about how you impacted my life, because we've had people over the years, now the last 5 years, that have been following it, have been building their brands, making a success in their own communities, and just being able to be a part of that journey has been amazing for us to see. And once a year, we try to organize a big gathering at Magic, where we'll say, hey, we're enter for a chance to win tickets to come and actually attend Magic. So we actually provide the passes to go into Magic. They have to book their own flights and hotel, of course, but we do a big meetup there. And I've done that about 3 years in a row. The first time there was like 5 people. The second time there was about 12. The more recent one we did was like about 30 people that came out, which was amazing to see people flying from all over the U.S. to come hang out with us and get to meet with each other over a full day. And they get to go to their seminars, courses. They get to source a lot of the stuff that's like not accessible unless you pay a big fee,
right,
or you're a registered seller. So a lot of people aren't at that stage when they come. So we've been able to do that in partnership with the College of Southern Nevada.
Awesome.
They've been a big help in making that happen as well, because they have connections, and they're like, hey, you guys want to organize something? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to have my people come out, and it looks good for the college. There's a great amount of people out there under their program, and it helps me connect with my audience as well.
Right. Becoming a mentor in the community and doing the work that you're doing, you can literally say that you have become a Gary Vaynerchuk. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're definitely on your way. You know what I mean? You're doing what you're doing in the community. You got my support, and if you do run for office, say, "Hey, I'm there too."
No.
You'll be the Latino Gary Vaynerchuk.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be kind of cool. No, like even growing up, we never really had any Latino to look up to that wasn't a cartel member. It wasn't Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, I didn't say that. And remember the East Side too. So
that's right.
That's my stomping grounds too. So I was raised up on that. So I totally understand. But no, man, I'd like to thank you very much for your time, and it's kind of even give me some inspiration to say, you know what, I need to kind of work on myself as well. Given with the pandemic, how are you holding up with the pandemic going on? You're staying home, obviously, with the family.
Yeah,
it's a great thing.
Yeah, we had the baby, so it was newborn, and we got to stay in, and it really gave me some time to reflect on the plans. Like obviously, we had goals this year that we set at the end of last year, and we were like, this is what we're gonna do, and we were doing the game plan, and then the Rona hit and kind of threw a curveball and everything. So it really allowed us to refocus on what we wanted to accomplish this year and the years moving forward, and whether it was serving our community from the Ground Up Academy, which is where we have our paid group of members that are building. They have access to resources, suppliers, educational content that helps them build their brand from the ground up. So we decided, hey, let's really double down and put new content on there. Let's better help them, serve them. Let's do one-on-one calls on a monthly basis. Let's do live training calls on a monthly basis. So it gave me the time and bandwidth, like where everything else was like kind of slowing down. Like, hey, let's ramp this up, and then let's see about creating a whole new business model. And that's something that's in the works. And once it's a little closer to announce, You'll be the first.
You're gonna come in.
Yeah.
You're gonna come into the studio though for that.
Yes,
Right?
I'll come into the studio with you. It's definitely a project we've been working on. It's been formulating in my head for the last like 2 years. Is like, how do we change the entire industry? It's never been done before. I'm working out the logistics now. We're working with some app developers to also work out like how the tech side would play and how people can literally have the power to create in their communities through this new service that we're launching. So I'm excited. We started to build that up over the last few weeks, kind of putting some ideas together with the team and just ramping up our YouTube side where we're hiring on new people to help with more content producing to the branding to now this new service that we're launching. So we're super excited to get this thing off.
I'm super excited. I can't wait to be the first guy in line to get that that exclusive story.
Yes,
And
definitely, man.
Are you still focusing? Are you just focusing on the teachings or the education side now, or are you still in the putting out bags or any other apparels?
Yeah. So what we're doing is obviously YouTube is our primary platform where we educate, connect with our community. We've grown that. We're reaching 150,000 subscribers within the next few days. So we'll reach that. And essentially, we also started up a distribution company of products, of quality products that are sourced from sustainable manufacturers, like good manufacturers. And we're distributing. We started with face masks and some blank apparel. And we're going to be expanding the catalog into different sizes and colors. So that'll be our distribution arm to the content. So if an entrepreneur is like, hey, how can I get a certain style blank or t-shirt? They can come right onto our site, which is streetwearapparel.com. It's live right now. And we have like some quality adjustable face masks that we source and we produce and we ship out from Las Vegas. So that's something that we just started during the whole COVID. Starting with face masks, some blank t-shirts, and then expanding the product line, giving people access to quality blanks without a resale license. So instead of you having to register with the distributor and create an account and show them your resale certificate, you could say, hey, I want to test this product out. Can I buy 2 or 3? You can buy 2 or 3, or you can buy 1,000. Like, and the price decreases the more you buy. So that's the goal of making it easy for people to start.
I mean, man, I can see a lot of stuff happening, especially the growth of your company and what you're doing in educating people like myself. And I can't wait till you come into the studio and kind of share the products and the new.
That'd be awesome.
Hey man, thank you very much for joining me. And say hi to your wife for me.
Will do.
And then congratulations.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, man. There it is, Jonathan Santos. Mahalo, man, and I'll catch you later, man. All right.
All right, take care, bro.
All right, bro. Bless, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You too.